On this episode of On the Bridge, I'm chatting with Jason, the Chief Officer of Motor Arience. Hi, Jason.
Hi,
Thank you for joining us. So I want to talk a little bit about your journey into yachting. So how did you end up in the industry?
Yeah, so it's great to be here to begin with, and yeah, it started so long ago now. I grew up on the water. I grew up in Tasmania in Australia, so it was an island state. My parents' place was on the waterfront, and every single second of my childhood memory is filled with water. So it was a bit of an accident. I went to take a gap year, and I was going to go to uni. I took that gap year. It turned into 2 years, and then my parents were tapping their watch and asking when I'd come back to school. And I went back and did a business degree, and I finished the business degree without a job. And I was like, I might go back to sea.
So what did you do on that gap year?
So
how did you sort of earn a living, or were you just sort of traveling? Or
I started off. I went up to the Great Barrier Reef in the Whitsundays, and I got a job on a small yacht, doing day trips to Whitehaven Beach, back and forth each day. And a big American sailing yacht was going past, and they pulled up next to us on the dock one day. Got talking to them. And they're like, oh, we're looking for a deckhand. It's like, oh, I'd love that. That boat looks amazing. And they're like, well, come with us. So from then I left the Whitsundays, and we travelled up all through Asia, did a bunch of Asian regattas and sailing. And that was my first little taste of the super yachts.
Not a bad start.
No, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I look back how naive I was at the start.
I love that. So it was just a coincidence that they were there at that time and you were there. And
yeah, right place, right time.
I can now understand maybe why going back to school or going back home maybe wasn't so appealing.
Yeah, exactly. I got this bug, and I was so addicted to it. We were there sailing through, doing all these amazing regattas through Asia, sailing everywhere. And I just thought it was fantastic. When I finished the business degree, I came back to Europe, and I'd met a few people along the way.
Sure.
And I reached out to everyone and said, hey, I really want to come back to the super yachts. And on my flight over, got an email from a friend, hey, can you come to Palma? I'm like, well, I'm landing in France. They're like, well, we've got your flight, come on down. And that's where my job on Eminence began.
Wow. Yeah. So at that point, had you done any formal exams for yachting, or it was more that you'd gained all that experience on the sort of sailing yacht and then you needed to then do the exams?
Yeah, I just had, I'd gained the experience on the yachts. It was definitely a hands-on learning approach that I took. And I had my basic training, and that was it.
Fantastic. So then you flew to Palma and jumped on Eminence.
Yeah.
Wow, so your start to yachting was on pretty amazing boats from the very start.
To touch wood, I've only actually been on amazing yachts, to tell you the truth. Each one's been a job through word of mouth and
the best way,
moving from one to the next. And same when I joined Arience. It was 6 years ago today that I joined Arience. And just beforehand, I hadn't met the captain, and we were in Rybovic, and Arience, that was once Excellence 5, had just sold, and the new captain came on board, and he was just setting up a new set of crew, and they were going out for a sea trial, and I was holding some fenders on the side and waved to him and said hi, and he came back and he's like, you're Jason, aren't you? I was like, yeah. He's like, we've got a mutual friend. I was like, oh, great. He's like, would you like a job? And at that stage, the timing was actually perfect. Hasna, the yacht I was on, was just for sale, and I said, funnily enough, I'm just about to start looking. And
wow, so again, another amazing coincidence.
Yeah, and just...
That's fantastic. So the most important sort of times of your life have been coincidence that you've been in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
and also reputation then.
Yeah, 100%. I've literally waved to my future employee without even knowing that they're going to hire me one day.
That's brilliant.
I've been on...
six years ago then that you joined the boat today.
Yeah, 6 years today.
Happy anniversary.
It's good to be having this review.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll be feeding back to the captain.
Yeah.
I'll tell him how you get on.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're on board, I imagine each day looks completely different. That's one of the great things about working on board.
Yeah.
But during the busy charter season, can you outline what your sort of day-to-day role and responsibilities look like?
So Arience was the first charter yacht I'd ever worked on. And before that, they'd all been private yachts and very bespoke sort of private programs tailored towards their owners. So when I came onto Arience, it was a big change. Every day at sea is a different day. The weather changes, the locations. And on Arience, every day there was a new charter guest. And I was blown away by how much pre-planning and thought had to go into something you didn't actually know.
Right.
So the day before a charter guest turns up, you've never met, you don't know them, you've seen a passport photo and their face, you know their date of birth, and that's about it.
Yeah.
You know, some brokers will give you a nice little preference sheet, but sometimes you don't even get that.
Yeah.
And then you get to meet these people and try and make them feel as at home and as welcome on this 7-star experience that you can try and create.
Yeah.
And you go from
And
there.
you've got to try and give them the best experience of their life when you know so little about them. I've never even thought about that sometimes they're turning up and they're maybe only on for a week and you have to get to know their likes and dislikes and
a charter guest as well, it's 1 week and they want to do as much as they possibly can in that week.
So your focus then mainly during a charter week really is once the guests get on, your focus is the guests.
Yeah, 100%. So, and when the guests aren't on board, you know, we try and do all our other side planning, our refits, our maintenance, our training with the crew and all the rest. And then the guests step on and all of a sudden, you know, the whole crew, 17 crew, just hone on these, you know, 10 individuals and make sure that every need's been met.
Yeah, sure. So you've got to quickly pick up people's character and likes and dislikes. So you've got to be a real people person.
100%, yeah. You know, even just, you know, some people like being greeted on first name basis, and if you can pick that up straight away, that they like a really personal approach, then that's the experience that you've got to give them. And
then, like you say, other people like a more formal approach, or maybe being left a bit more alone on board. Others want to interact with the crew. And so actually all the members of the crew really need to be able to be quite good judges of character quite quickly, because all of you have then got to work together and give the guests the experience that they're expecting. So I guess everyone, when they get on board, has an expectation which you don't know.
Yeah.
So then you've got to work out what their expectation is pretty quick.
Yeah, pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know, you really need to work it out in the first day.
Yeah.
And hopefully it becomes apparent to everyone and we can hash out plans.
So if the broker sends you over a sheet, is that really helpful? Or do you find sometimes that actually the information on the broker sheet isn't quite
99% of the time it's really helpful.
Okay.
Anything that you can pick up on beforehand just makes that first day, and even the day before gives you a little bit more at ease of what's coming, or if you can talk to them and
what's coming.
But if you can actually arrange a physical phone call and interview with the charter guests,
even better.
That's the best.
I can imagine.
But I think with Arience as well, we've had a really strong central agent brokerage house, and they've been really good providing good clients and you know, providing the information that we need. They're long term.
But how great also if you work with them for a long time, because then they know the boat and they know the crew and they know what experience you deliver really well. So if you're a very fun crew that really enjoys interacting with the guest, they are going to recommend that to clients that they know want that experience. So hopefully the people they're pointing in your direction are the type of people who are going to enjoy what you guys are best at delivering.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that helps, I guess.
Yeah, and you know, the charter and the crew is one element. There's, you know, the property, the yacht, but there's all these background companies that work around us, that support us, local agents. Unfortunately, I'm Australian and I'm not fluent in Italian, French or Spanish.
Oh gosh,
or
that's helpful.
Or Japanese. But I can imagine if I was, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got local agents, all these background companies, and even ones that provide maintenance services and equipment for us.
Yeah.
The longer you can establish these relationships with those companies and get the best from everyone works so well.
Okay, so when you're on board and you're having sort of a busy season, how do you manage to balance guest expectations and your interactions alongside all the sort of duties and responsibilities that you have that actually need to be done to run the vessel safely.
There's a fine line and a work-life balance that you need to manage, and well, it's a work-work balance. You've got all these maritime duties and responsibilities that you need to keep meeting, and on top of that, you have the charters and then the crew downtime as well is really important.
Yeah, that.
This is something that we've learnt a lot on our time. And our first year that we went into charter, the owner purchased this yacht and said, charter it as much as you can. And we went, okay. And we did it. And it took its toll. It was 6 years ago. Maybe rotation wasn't quite so common. And we burnt out. We burnt out really quickly, and we had a lot to do at the end. The summer sort of finished, and we'd just taken on a new boat. We needed to do a big AV IT refit. There was a lot of work we needed to do. And we'd just done 70, 80 days of charters and, you know, putting our all in every day into all our guests and putting our all in. And it took its toll. And then from there in future years, you know, we tried to work out some balances. We brought in some rotations. Yeah. We did a bunch of other things as well. And I remember before one summer, we sat down with the crew and, you know, we were trying to plan out the whole summers, and we're trying to plan out, you know, 10 individual charters with minimal relocations. So wherever we drop off, we pick up the next and we go from here and here. And our season was filling up really early, and it could have been a monster of a summer. And we went to the crew, and a lot of them had been with us now for a little while, and we're like, remember last year? And it was really, really busy, and we're all really tired, and we're all a little bit on each other's nerves. Do we want to do that again? You know, do you just want to go for it and take all the money, or are we going to plan out and make this sustainable long term? Yeah. And there was a mixed response from the crew. Some people were like, yep, let's just do the charters. A lot of them hadn't done the season before.
Okay.
And the ones that had were like, let's back it off a little bit.
Let's have a think about
this. You know, maybe 8 weeks is fine. Maybe 8 weeks in 3 months is manageable, and we space a gap between each charter.
How great though that as a crew you can have that conversation, and really the senior sort of crew listen to the rest of the crew, so that it's not just a case of, no, this is what we're doing, you either like it or lump it, and if you burn out, well, you know, see you later. That's really rare, that actually, you know, you're trying to have the good crew at their best and keep hold of them.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it was a really big call from our captain, a really big call, because obviously some owners might just be interested in that figure. But, you know, we approached the family office and we talked about it, and we had this big communal sort of talk with the crew, the family and the management, and we came up with this more realistic approach to our charter seasons. You know, really ensuring that we didn't have relocations, really ensuring that we didn't do a 24-hour turnaround. And knowing that each charter that turns up, we need to deliver that 7-star experience like it's the first charter of the year. There can't be any degradation of quality as the year goes on. And so that's where we started balancing things out a little bit more, being a bit more selective with our charter guests as well. We started getting a lot more return clients, which is, you know, perfect. It's the best compliment you can get when a charter guest rebooks with you again.
Definitely.
You know you did something right the first time.
So I was about to say, what do you think makes us special in comparison to other charter yachts? But that's something that's very special, I think, and you don't hear of very often. But what else do you think makes people want to go back to her, and when they're looking for a charter vessel, that the agent would talk about her to, you know, to sell her to someone?
So Arience was once Excellence 5 before it sold, and it's always been a well-known charter yacht, and it started its life being built for a really bespoke reason. It's a 60-metre yacht with a volume of a 70 or an 80-metre yacht.
Right.
And the owner built this yacht. He wanted the biggest yacht he could fit in to St Bart's inside for New Year's Eve on this dock. And the biggest length it could hold was 60 metres, but he wanted the biggest volume. So that's where they came up with that. And in the building and design, they made independent stabilisers so it could sit in St Bart's on the dock with one stabiliser running, because any of you crew that have spent a New Year's Eve in St Bart's Nose. It's a roly-poly,
It's
horrible.
a bit busy.
It's a bit busy, it's a bit rolly, and it's not the best. So they'd made this yacht for this one individual time and then put it into charter. And it had been a successful boat for the first 8 years. It was getting on, and you know, a charter yacht, it has its life, and you need to keep reinventing it.
Yeah.
And when we took it over, it was 8 years old. So it was getting on towards its 10-year survey. It wasn't the newest, it wasn't the latest. So we needed to reinvent it. You know, we wiped a clean slate. We took on all new toys. We got bigger tenders. We got the Wire to come alongside us. And, you know, we tried to revamp as much as possible, as quick as possible for the first summer. And then after that, you know, we've done sustained large refits. We've done AVITs, we did our 10-year, we've done paint jobs. And every year we ensure that we always try and keep it as upgraded, and we invest in the property, we invest in the yacht as much as possible.
What are the issues or constraints that the crew face when trying to ensure best service for guests during the season when you are really, really busy? And can you share a memorable guest experience or request?
I guess a super yacht and its program and chartering. Imagine the best 5-star hotel you've seen in the world. Now up everything on that, and you need to deliver 7 stars. Everything needs to be perfect, and you're restricted. You're restricted with the amount of staff that you can have, the location that you're at, the provisions, the list goes on, all these restrictions that are placed on you, and you need to overcome those. For instance, you know, you're in the Bahamas and you need fresh produce. You know, the restaurant runs 7 days, for 7 days, sends out 3 meals a day, and each meal has to be Michelin star.
Yeah.
How do you even get lettuce in the Bahamas on the 7th day? You need to get stuff flown in. You need provisioners, all these side companies that work with you, to be able to come together to deliver that.
So again, it's also that reliance on people that you trust to help you deliver that experience on board.
Yeah, I think that's a part of what really enforces that team aspect, is like not one person can do this job by themselves. It's everyone has such an important role. And same, the HODs in our yacht, when we meet up, you know, we're all empathetic of the struggles that everyone faces, you know. An engineer with his, you know, bunkering thoughts, a chef with their provisions, an interior with their spa team and their service and the housekeeping that goes on. And it needs to be a 7-star experience. All these guests have stayed at amazing hotels around the world. They know what's good and they know what's bad, and it has to be good. So that's one of those.
It has to be better than good.
It has to be better than good, you know.
Yeah.
The linen has to be crisp. The towels have to be soft. The food has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a smile. It's this imaginary world.
I think that's interesting, that thought that most of the people who come and stay on a super yacht probably have stayed at the most incredible places in the world. But there's this expectation that being on a super yacht is beyond any of those experiences. So like you say, you could stay at the best 5-star hotel, but realistically what you're delivering is beyond that. It's better than that. It's 7-star. It's unique. Yeah. They'll never have an experience like it.
Yeah. It just reminds me of one set of guests, and, you know, sometimes you get a lot of information and sometimes you don't. And they turned up at the first day of their charter and they're like, oh, yep, the pillow menu. And we want 24 pillows on our bed.
Whoa, 24? There'd be no room to sleep.
That's what we thought as well.
24?
24 pillows on a standard king-size bed. It blew my mind the first time I saw the next day when the girls had made the bed. And
you should have taken a picture. I feel as if that would have been something for the book, if you ever write a book.
Nearly to the ceiling, you know.
So you gave them 24 pillows?
Yeah, we had to.
Well, how did they sleep?
I think they threw a lot of the pillows on the ground, to be honest. I don't know where the thought is that they wanted 24 pillows. Wow. Maybe they got them confused, you know. I've done an online delivery and ordered like 12 potatoes thinking it was going to be 12 potatoes and got
12 sacks of potatoes.
You know, we've all done it, so maybe they did it with the pillows.
Yeah. They probably went in and thought, oh my God, how many pillows have they given
We've overdone it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. That is a memorable request.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're managing your team under pressure and, with the constraints you have, it must throw up some interesting problems. How do you manage to support crew morale and performance during those times? And if you're looking to hire crew for your particular vessel, what things do you look for?
One of the most difficult jobs that I go through is hiring people. It's as soon as I have a crew member leave, and I look after the deck side of recruitment, whenever I have someone leave, I'm obviously always really sad that they're going, but I'm also dreading the task of trying to find a replacement. Yeah, I'm sad for you and I'm sad for me. Yeah. And whenever I'm hiring someone, I'm really looking for someone that will integrate into the team. We're looking for diversity. We're not looking for one type. And it's not a rinse and repeat. You can't say, I want the exact same person again, and I'm going to try and find them.
You'd be looking for a long time if you tried to do that, wouldn't you? Because everyone is so different.
Yeah, 100%. And we spend a lot of time looking for our crew. Ideally, we can get them in early and out of season as well. In between, we can let them get to know the crew, know who they're working with, and fit in as much as possible, and go from there. I don't think I've got like a magic recipe for finding the right crew. I think it's a long process, and when they come on as well, they just need to be made feel as welcomed as possible.
Sure. It sounds like the team that you have at the moment are very team orientated.
Yeah.
So it's similar when we're recruiting for people to work here. I always say to people in the interview process, we're extremely sort of a close team. It's open plan office. Everyone sort of knows each other quite well. And that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
There are people who actually just like to go to their job, do their job, and go home and not know anything about anybody. And I totally respect that. But that isn't here. And I feel as if that's maybe quite similar with your team.
Yeah.
So you have to find someone who wants to come in and be part of that.
Yeah.
And isn't sort of a person who just wants to turn up and do their job, and obviously they can't go home, but because that actually might not fit your culture.
Yeah.
So that's probably just as important as actually someone with the skill set.
Yeah, it's so much about the personality and finding the right person that fits in, and then making sure that they're made feel as welcome from day dot as possible. They come in and they've normally got a little care package on their beds, and just something to make them. The first day in a new job, meeting 15 new people is daunting in itself.
Okay, let's talk a bit more operational side now. Mm-hmm. So when you're in the busy season and you've got a really intensive schedule, how do you plan sort of your itineraries, and what are the main considerations for your nav planning with the bridge team? And have you ever experienced any challenges that have been memorable?
So this is what consumes a lot of the day. The navigational planning is one of those aspects of the charters that has to change and be so dynamic. Prior to the trips, we send out these charter itineraries and books with the areas on where we're going and what we can do. But until they arrive and the weather's coming in, do we really know what we're actually going to do? So it's one of those things that we have to be quite dynamic with, and we need to come up with the best solutions. The planning, it's come a long way since I first started in the industry. When I first started cruising around Asia, I had an LG flip phone that didn't really work most of the time, no access to internet, and we used to turn up on beaches and places, and I'd be like, wow.
Those were the days.
Yeah, I was like...
No internet. On the phone, all you could do is make phone calls. Brilliant.
Yeah, and sometimes not even phone calls. And now we have everything at our fingertips. We have a lot of online publications. We have a lot of weather routing resources available to us, which means we see what's coming a lot more ahead. Even Google Earth, we're zooming in, looking at individual docks where we're scouting places. And it's about collecting as much data as you can for that planning process, and then utilising it as best you can. And you need to use every resource you can. You need to look at 3, 4, 5 weather forecasts, because not one of them is going to read the same.
Yeah. And it's changing all the time.
And it's changing all the time. And weather is such an important factor. It's the make or breaks. And then we need to come up with our plan. We need to deliver it to our guests in such a way that they want to follow our plan.
Yeah.
Which sometimes they don't.
No, I'm sure.
and we go from there. And weather is absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And I think as a seafarer, you start to look at the weather religiously. And I've imparted a little bit on my wife, my weather addiction. She's she's from not a seafaring background, never worked on yachts, never worked in the maritime industry. So no interest in it at all. And every morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, there's a bit of wind out there. And we live near the beach. And
so there's always wind.
There's always wind, yeah. And there's always weather. And it's one of my favorite things is to go out and look at the sea and look at the weather. And the first thing we normally get to the cliff tops, and I'm like, oh, it's a southwesterly swell today. Bit of a cool change coming through here, isn't there?
And she's thinking you sound absolutely mad.
Yeah, and I think for like the first 4 or 5 years, she ignored me. And ignored all my strange comments.
Addictions to have, let's face it. So if that's your only sort of downside, you're doing okay. Have you experienced any sort of weather or routing challenges that have caused memorable experiences?
I do remember one of the really interesting ones, and it created this moment of panic. Well, yeah, in the planning stage, we had gone through. And I was working on a new yacht, and we had been back to a yard period at Fedship and just finished some warranty, and we're about to undertake our biggest passage. We were about to go out to Tahiti, straight from the Netherlands, and we'd set out all this planning, and everything looked good, and range, and the rest was all bang on. We could do it easy, and we had the time schedule. We had a set date for the owner to arrive. Anyway, we were trying to leave Northern Europe in the middle of winter, and we managed to scrape out, stopping in every port along the way because of weather issues. And we'd got down to Panama, we'd crossed the Panama, and we've left Panama. And in a part of our planning phase, it was early days, and we had satellite internet at the time, and our engineer ETO had kind of outlined this map of where we were expecting to lose internet and go from there. I was like, yep, no, that's good. We'd have about 8 days without internet going across to Tahiti, which is fine. We were all set for it. And on the 10th day away from Tahiti, 2 days before we were expecting to lose internet, we lost internet. And one of the captains was like to the engineer, have you confirmed the bunker order for Tahiti? Oh. He's like, no, I've got to send an email. And we all looked at each other. We're like, we can't send an email. And for about 8 days, we sent out SAT-C emails. But our terminal had been programmed to receive the emails back to an internet-based email account, not our SAT-C terminal. Oh, no. So we were sending out frantic emails knowing we were turning up to Tahiti with minimal reserve, knowing the owner was turning up the next day, not knowing if we had any fuel on a remote island waiting for us, knowing we needed about 160,000 litres.
Just a small amount.
Yeah, just a small amount
panic.
That we should be able to find in the middle of the Pacific, right? Anyway, we finally got back into range and the emails started popping in.
Alleluia.
Alleluia.
Yeah.
Our SAT-C emails had made it out.
They had.
They had made it out, but we just hadn't received the replies because they'd been going to an internet-based email account.
But for those sort of 8, 9, 10 days, you didn't know if anyone was getting them. So you were literally turning up blind, not knowing what was going to...
Turning up blind. And we were emailing everyone off our SAT-C terminal. We were emailing the yacht managers, the fuel suppliers, the captain's wife. Everyone got an email in those 8 days.
I bet you've never felt so relieved in your life to turn up and all the emails start pinging through.
And all those days we were asking all those questions, and we're like, did we set up this SAT-C terminal right? Is it sending out emails? Is anything making it out there?
The poor ETO as well. I bet he was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Miscalculated a little bit.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh, gosh. Oh, I bet you were very relieved when you got there and realised that everything was good.
Everything was in order.
As a chief officer, as you are, what do you personally feel is the most enjoyable and rewarding part of your job? And what's next for you? Obviously, at the moment, hopefully some downtime.
Yeah, so I've just returned. I know it's the middle of summer and everyone's busy in the Med at the moment. And I'm wondering what I'm doing here sitting in the UK. I've just got home this week, so it's some downtime for me. One of the most enjoyable parts of my job is just seeing the crew grow. We focus so much on our crew on board, and seeing people progress is the best feeling ever. And we've seen some crew come through our doors and go on to bigger and better things, and it's really nice to see people grow from there. I think as well, when I was coming up through the ranks and going through my seafaring career, I've always had really strong mentors, and some of them mean so much to me still to this day, that I know how important it is to have those mentors and to have the guidance. When I first joined Arience, I was stepping up from safety, sort of second officer, to chief officer on Arience, and I had my master's tickets, and I was going from there. And when I joined the yacht, the captain asked me, what do you want to do? I'm like, oh, I don't want to be a captain. I want to be a master one day. I've done all the study, but I know I'm not ready.
You need practical experience.
Yeah, I need more practical experience, and I got that. And he has always been pushing me to progress. Obviously, he doesn't want me to take his job,
sure,
but he does want me to become a master and a captain.
Yeah.
And through those years, he's given me the rein. I've driven Arience, I've taken across the Atlantic. But before just giving me the keys and saying, hey, go learn the hard way, he gave me support. And he brought in other captains that did crossings with me and mentored me. So I got a taste of different people's ways of operating. And I think I've learned from so many different people, all these different aspects, that, it's not just one person that's taught me. It's a range of people. And, some heavily involved in the super yachts, some not. There's a Southampton pilot that I'm still good friends with, and I did a lot of training with. And I talk to him all the time. He's never worked on a super yacht, and he always likes to hear, what I'm up to, where I'm up to. But likewise, I like to hear his stories.
Yeah.
The stories of the days of coming into the Soul and what he does back to back.
Yeah.
And
sharing the experiences.
Yeah. And we both work in the maritime sector.
But worlds apart.
Worlds apart.
Yeah.
And both so interested in each other's experiences.
Okay, I'm going to move on. We've got some quick fire questions just to finish off. So you have to answer these as quickly as you can without thinking too quick, okay? What's your favourite port in the world to stop in?
Barcelona.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it.
Fun place.
It's a great place. The port there in the middle of the city. It's a vibrant city.
Yeah.
Tapas.
Beautiful city.
Beautiful city. Yep.
Great. An anchor or in a marina?
Anchor.
Med or Caribbean?
Caribbean.
Best toy that a charter vessel can carry?
An e-foil.
Okay.
Yep.
Early watch or late watch?
Early watch.
Calm, smooth seas or exciting weather and swell?
Calm, smooth seas. Every day.
Coming from the weather addict. One luxury you'd always take to sea?
One luxury.
Your flip phone.
Yeah, my flip phone. No phone.
Oh yeah, that would be a luxury.
That would be.
Bucket list destination that you haven't visited yet?
Norway.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And when you're not on board as chief officer, where is Jason Walker's happy place?
At home with my son and my wife. I love being at sea, and if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't keep going back, because I have such a lovely wife and son at home that it is a big sacrifice to make. But
So at home with family, checking the weather.
Yep.
That's where you are.
Going down to the beach.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That was brilliant. Cool. Thank you.
No, thank you.